Welcome to Local Omaha. I'm Ken Bartholomew.
And I'm Kelsey Wiedel.
With each video podcast, we bring business owners, community leaders, nonprofits, and entrepreneurs. And Kelsey, this week, our guest.
This week I'm so excited to welcome Todd Sears. Thanks for joining us, Todd.
Thank you for having me.
So we are going to talk about your current position is the president of the First Responders Foundation, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. That's so cool. Well, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into that position and what you're doing now.
Sure. So I spent 33 years in newspaper, and at the end of my career, I was on the board for First Responders Foundation. It was run at that time by a two-star general, Al Bachelet, and not long after I hung up the newspaper world, he approached me and said that he needed to step back and do some things with family and stuff. And so would I want to take over? And so I was familiar from the board perspective, but it was an easy yes because I loved, even on the board, I loved who we serve and what we do. And so I've been there this will be my 5th year.
Oh, very cool. Okay, well, tell us a little bit about what the foundation does here locally in Omaha.
Sure. One of the main things is just try and showcase first responders and all they do for our community. It's really easy to just assume they're there, but they're really people behind the badges. And so if somebody asks me real brief, what do you do? I say we're the VA for first responders because we focus on mental health and physical health for them and veterans.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah, that's nice. So I remember I was on your website looking at some information. It was the kind of I don't know, the genesis of it or the roots of it kind of around 9/11. Was it a couple individuals?
Yep, we're entering our 18th year.
Okay.
And it started back in 2008 with a couple of gentlemen that really thought that the respect for first responders was waning in Omaha after 9/11, and they didn't want to see that happen. And so those two had a ton of contacts in the Omaha area because they both owned businesses, and they would literally fundraise and put on large-scale events, and then they would use that money to purchase equipment for OFD and OPD that wasn't in the budget.
Oh, great.
So they did that for 10, 11 years, worked very well. When General Bachelet came in, he didn't have those contacts, but he did have a lot of experience in the Army. And so he changed our mission to focus on the health of the first responder, veterans, and their families.
Oh, very cool.
Go ahead.
What are some of outside of the big events you do, which we're definitely going to talk about,
Sure.
What are some of the kind of day-to-day things that the First Responders Foundation might be involved in?
Sure. So we have 3 primary programs. They go on every single day. So first would be mental health. So we have a culturally competent clinician who leads that effort for us. And when I say culturally competent, that means somebody that grew up in a first responder or veteran household. They've been one, they're married to one, because that group of individuals has unique stressors that most clinicians can't even fathom when they're having conversations. So we do therapy, clinical sessions for first responders. We also do training, and we do that all over the country. Wherever there's a need, if somebody calls in and says we need training in California, we go to California.
Oh, wow.
Do that training. It really focuses on the needs of that population. So peer support, we go in and we would train certain people in a department to look for things that may be popping up, because the best conversation you can have with a first responders veteran is another first responder or veteran. So we train them to look for signs of suicide ideation, things like that, so they can have those tough conversations and prevent something that may happen if they didn't have that. We teach suicide prevention is another one we do. We have couples training, because if you have a first responder or veteran in the family, it takes the whole family to do that. So we're cognizant of that. We train that. Last year we introduced sleep recovery training, and it's been incredibly popular, and it works. So that's even better.
Fantastic.
But
That's cool.
as we were launching this, we sent our person to be trained in it, and one of the things we learned is that for example, if you're a firefighter and you're in REM sleep and the bells go off, you have to be up, dressed, on the truck, and to the residence in about 7 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And what we learned is the stress on your heart from doing that is the same as running a full marathon. And they do it multiple times a shift. So it's not just like one and done. So they have stress on that, then they go fight the fire, they come back. Now you're full of adrenaline. You still need to go back to sleep because you haven't got a lot, and so that's hard to do. So what we focus on is meditation and yoga and some things that can help them get back to that place so they can get some good rest between calls.
That's so fantastic. I'm so glad you talked about that, because I think as an outsider, I wouldn't have thought about, those cortisol spikes and those adrenaline spikes, and it's so important for your mental health and wellness,
Right.
To get that correct amount of sleep. That's really interesting.
Yep.
Unless you've lived a week in the life or a day in the life of a first responder, I never thought about that. I mean, I thought about it, but you don't think about that, the interruption of REM
Right.
sleep and then going back to sleep and that type.
Continuously, yeah.
I have one of my children, recent graduate from high school, that kind of thing, and he, with some of his peer group, it seems to me like I see more people becoming firefighters and first responders. Is that real, or is it just something that I'm kind of a heightened awareness right now because I'm close to it with that age group?
We are seeing a spike in that, but they're still both, like in Omaha, they're still both short in terms of personnel on what they should have. But we are seeing a spike in it. One thing that we do every year is called Awards of Excellence. It's in April, and we give scholarships, $500 scholarships, to graduating seniors who have a parent that's a first responder. And it's just a way to say thank you. You don't have to be a straight A student. You just have to be a good kid that loves the community and does some good things. And so we bring their parents and them together every April and award them. So we get to say thank you to mom or dad, or mom and dad, and also the student.
Oh, wow, yeah, because I feel like in that it's one of those unique positions where it really impacts the entire family.
Oh, absolutely.
So do you see a lot of family involvement with the First Responders Foundation or any of your activities? Is it a whole family thing for sometimes?
The biggest would be Guns and Hoses. We have a lot of participation from families there, but we do have some that come in for counseling together, which is fantastic. But yeah, they're welcome at anything that we do. They can come by anytime.
Speaking of Guns and Hoses, please tell us all about that, because it is one of my favorite events that you put on, and my family loves to attend. If you haven't gotten a chance to attend Guns and Hoses, it is so much fun.
It is.
And it's a great fundraising event. So it's coming up soon, so tell us all about it.
March 15th at Baxter. This will be our 5th year doing it. It's a great family event. I mean, there's things, we have kid zones, a lot of vendors that just give free stuff away to everybody that shows up.
So much stuff. Bring your backpack. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just fun. That when we thought about this 5 years ago, we really put it together in about a month. And prior we used to do Guns and Hoses boxing for several years, and then when 2020 happened, we shelved that and reimagined what we could do. The funny thing we learned was that this has been going on for 20 some years, that police and fire would pick a date, go play at a small ice rink. Nobody could come in and watch because there's no seats, but they do that and then go out and celebrate afterwards. So giving them the venue of Baxter Arena was really something that we thought would be really special. And it was. I mean, that first year I can still remember kids coming in with their parents, like a giant head that they'd have in the stands.
Yes.
And
so cool.
And I tell everybody, if you haven't been, it's good hockey. They are good players.
Yeah.
They are intense
it's a real
players.
Game. Yeah.
They both want to win. We've had 3 police wins and then fire won last year. So it's competitive. They go after it when they're on the ice.
People dress up. I see kids coming, with their dad's face on their shirt, or just, you dress in red, dress in blue. We always mix it up.
Oh, yep. They're on separate sides. But we'll have a bunch of police vehicles and fire vehicles out in the parking lot so people can look at that at a time. We'll have mounted patrol there, and then we'll have some service dogs inside that people can get to know more about as well. But it's a great family event. Like I said, 5th year. Last year I think we had 3,600 people show up, so it's a
I'm glad you have it in Baxter Arena, because I feel like coming off of a men's Olympic gold, a women's Olympic gold, it's
and the first UNO player get a gold medal.
To get a gold medal, I'm so excited.
Terrific.
Jake Gensel,
I did not know that.
He was born here in Omaha, and he played for the UNO Mavericks. He was on that Olympic gold medal hockey team.
I did not know that. That's neat.
It's also interesting to see, I had no idea there was such an overlap between first responders and hockey. And I know just on my husband's team alone, there's quite a few. So that's really cool.
Yep.
Is that something you knew about beforehand?
We really didn't. It was something that we were trying to reimagine what we were doing. And so we talked to some local first responders, and they said, it'd be great if you did hockey because we're already doing it. This is going to be a special year, so year 5. We're teasing it on social media, but they both have alternate uniforms this year.
Okay.
Just home and away. So we'll have some of those to auction off, some of the jerseys to auction off at the event as well.
How cool.
You know, we were talking before the program that Kelsey and I, you know, being involved in some of the rural area and or bedroom communities, we saw a lot of support for first responders. I feel like, I didn't know if that was more, to me, it was more of a small town kind of vibe thing. I don't know if that, do you feel as though that's there and but there's still a lot of room to grow within like the greater Omaha area of support of these type of events? That seemed to me like in these smaller communities, I'm not going to say everybody shows up, but
it certainly feels like
right.
it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're very lucky to have the people in place that run our first responder units, the chiefs and such. I see a lot of pride in it. Another event that's coming up is going to be the 25th anniversary of 9/11. We do a 9/11 luncheon every year. This year, we're partnering with Mutual of Omaha, and usually we have it at Champions. We're going to move it to CHI and try and make it even bigger than before, as a way to remember 25 years of
Absolutely.
the worst day that any of us can remember.
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know.
Wow.
So you've got some pretty cool corporate sponsors helping support the event. Is that
We're fortunate to have very good
right?
sponsors. Most have been with us all 5 years, and to see them get to see it grow to what it is today has been fun.
You know, I think the one of the things is too, I noticed when Kelsey and I were talking about you coming to visit with us today, is in reviewing your website, that I think sometimes you sit back and you look at these events or you think about some of these big corporate sponsors and stuff, but there's an avenue where people can actually help support your foundation at
Absolutely.
a small level, whether it's $5, $10, $15, $50. And I think sometimes you see those big corporate sponsors and you forget about that, but it's those smaller donations too that really add up.
We have a lot of smaller partners in this, and they're just as valuable because they want to be out there, they want to support, they want to interact, and so we try and make it as easy as possible for them to do that.
Yeah, you know, I don't I reflect back. I don't know. Is that an age thing or something? You tell me. You're always coming at me.
That's what I would say.
But no, years ago, I was, you know, from just different careers, I was, some of the equipment that we had was vending equipment. And, you know, you don't think about it, but when somebody's putting a quarter in a machine or 50 cents or 75 or whatever, all of a sudden you've got a $250 million company nationwide. Out of quarters. So it's those small ones. It does make a difference.
It is. We're very fortunate. You know, one helps that we've been around for 18 years. So that helps. But the events like Guns and Hoses has really kind of let the public in to see who and what these men and women do every single day, show their appreciation. Because at the end of the day, that's what we do. Is we want to make sure that we're highlighting the work they do.
Right.
You know, I'll say. So I mentioned mental health, so we've got that. We also have physical health. So at our location, we have about a 4,000 square foot gym, and when we were very smart, we signed the lease papers for this on March 1st, 2020, and then promptly on the 10th, like everybody shut down for like a year, because they're just first responders. First responders were doing what first responders do. But after the George Floyd incident, there was an outcry from law enforcement across the country looking for less lethal ways to interact with the people they interact with. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was mentioned an awful lot. And so we decided to open a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio. And we hired, at the time, he was part-time. He was a law enforcement officer and then worked for us part-time. He's now full-time. And his wife works with us as well. But we turned that space into a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training academy.
Really?
Wow.
And so if you're not familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's a martial art, but it's non-striking. It uses weight, leverage, and pressure points so that they can control and de-escalate any situation. Officers that do this on a regular basis I won't be right on the percentages, but say like 40% fewer taser draws, like 60% fewer weapons draws, because they can control the situation on their own. So we opened that up, and at the time, there was some people who weren't in love with law enforcement at the time, and so we made the decision to it's the only thing that we do, that we let the public come in, because we thought if the public can see officers learning these skills,
Right.
it might bridge that divide that, they're trying to learn skills that are going to protect the community
Yeah, absolutely.
even better. And so right now, I think we have close to 200 people coming
Wow.
in every week. The curriculum we have, one is mostly for first responders, law enforcement, but we also have Women Empowered, which is led by the wife of the person that helped start this. So it focuses on women who have been in domestic situations, but how to keep space between, how to get out of a situation if you needed to. But anybody, you don't have to be experienced that to come. You can just come and learn self-defense. And then we have Bully Proof, which is kids.
Wow.
So as young as 3 years old can come in and start learning the basic skills of protecting themselves. None of it is aggressive. It's all reactive. If you're in that situation as a kid, we teach number one thing is to make sure you look for an adult that can kind of de-escalate the situation. But if you can't, you have the skills that you can use to get away and be safe.
Wow.
So, and we've had some parents call in whose kids had either tried to commit suicide or told them they wanted to commit suicide because of bullying at school. We did private lessons anytime those come in, and now, I'm happy to say they're all great. They're all part of our regular instruction and back in school and doing great. So
Quite the comprehensive program, it sounds
yeah,
like.
it's a fantastic one. So if you've ever been thinking about it, it's open. I think.
The wheels are already spinning.
Well, it sounds like it's a great program. Because in the world of, that we live in, where you just see these quick video shoots and things like that, and, sometimes people don't do a deep dive to see really what happened before or after. They just take whatever they see as the information that's there. This is cool to see that there is some work being done and some stuff to really help, educate first responders that are in those situations, past their initial training and continuing training, that type of thing.
So that's our second. That's our second program, and our third is a service dog program called JAVELAN. And I don't know if you've heard of it or not, or if you're aware of what service
Please
dogs
tell us
are.
more, yeah.
When I'm speaking to a group, I always say service dogs are not therapy dogs. They're not emotional support dogs. They're quite literally a medical device. The fluffiest, cuddliest one you'll ever have, but it's a medical device, and it's trained to serve a disability for one person. So anything from PTSD to stability, heart detection, diabetes detection, we can train the animal to do almost anything. And if you're not familiar, most service dog providers are for profit. They're on the coast, and I'm not knocking them, but they serve their people well.
It can be very expensive for people who need one.
So if you're a veteran, and we serve retired first responders as well, but if say you're a veteran, you've served our country, and you need a service dog to literally get your life back, you're going to call one of them, and they're most often going to say it's a 2 to 3 year wait, which is just like a kick in the gut to somebody that needs this now.
Yeah.
And in that 2 to 3 years, you can do a lot of fundraising, because it can cost upwards of $50,000 to get your dog. And most of them will find out what your disability is, will train the dog on their own, and then they'll fly you out for a few days, give you commands, and send you on your way.
Wow.
We do it differently. If the veteran or retired first responder has a dog that's usable, we absolutely use that, because dogs are way smarter than me.
Well, it's amazing to me.
It really
I remember this one youth athlete that played basketball. He's the same age as my son. He had a dog. He was had some condition or something like that, and the dog would know when, and
Exactly.
right.
And usually they detect before a medical device.
Right.
A lot of times diabetes dogs detect.
Or maybe at halftime of the basketball game, they go off to the side and come, and then but the dog was always with them, and it was really cool.
It's life-saving.
really
It really is. And so if they have a dog, we use it. If we don't, we try and use a rescue or shelter, so that we save a dog at the same time as saving one of our veterans or retired first responders.
What's the length of time that it would take to train a dog? And did you say that and I missed it?
Nope, I didn't.
Okay.
So instead of us training it and giving it back, we don't own the dogs. We will pair the veteran or retired first responder with the dog, and then we train the individual to train their dog. So it's time intensive from their end, but they learn these skills that they can use forever. And if they ever need to come back, they can come back. The only fee we have is $25. One, to make sure they show up for that first appointment, and two, it allows us to do a home inspection so that we make sure the dog's going to be in a good environment.
Oh, sure.
So that's all we do. And then it takes 6 to 9 months on average to train. We have some that go longer, some that can be done quicker, but 6 to 9 months normal. And at some point, I would guess this year, we're going to be approaching our 200th team that graduated.
Wow.
We have 42 teams being trained right now, and it is amazing. These people are getting their lives back, things that you could never understand. I like to tell a story of Jerry, who it was early on and when I started, and came back from Vietnam, perfectly fine, got married, had kids, had a job. Wife died way too early, so he was alone for a while, but his kids and grandkids came over. And then one day, his kid came over to see how he was doing, and he'd changed the locks on his house. And something, it was apparent, had triggered. He talked to him through the window, but wouldn't necessarily let them in. Finally got him to agree to a service dog, so we hooked him up, trained him at the home, and it was a spatial thing. Something happened that he couldn't be in public, so he isolated himself, and we trained the dog to walk a 2-foot perimeter around him at all times, and he's back to being grandpa and living life. So it's those kinds of things that can change your life, because without that, who knows how long you would have had.
You know, too, and then I know, again, knowing a first responder, a fireman, you know what I'm talking about, but there's a lot of things, too, that they can't talk about, that they can't share for legal reasons or HIPAA reasons or whatever the case may be. So you're holding that in. I can't even, and then when you see somebody like that, or you hear some of the stories like a veteran or somebody like that who hasn't even spoken of what they're dealing with for 25 years or whatever, they, you know, that type thing. I just can't even imagine.
I should mention that I changed the name, just so you know,
Yeah.
on that. But another very nice thing about Javelin is that some of the veterans that have gone through the program have since come back around and want to be trainers. And that opens up a whole new ability for a veteran, for example, to have some conversations with a veteran that's
been through a similar situation. That's great. I feel like one of the most, and just from what I've experienced personally, one of the biggest problems that first responders are facing is mental health and wellness. And I feel like everything that you've said addresses that, even from, I know Army veterans that have had great success with jiu-jitsu, mentally as well as physically. So it's great to see that there's an organization out here locally that has all of these different options to address first responder wellness.
We try, and one of the things we do is try and break down that stigma in first responders, because, you know, back in the day, the response would be, "I'm fine. I don't need any help," and we're really starting to see that change. So right now, we have agreements with different municipalities. From, do you know what EAP is, either of you? So the businesses often have those for their employees, and go get mental health, all confidential. A lot of cities were sending their first responders there as well. Say after a critical incident, they'd say, "You need to go have a conversation." And what would happen a lot of times is they'd break the clinician, because the clinician just couldn't fathom what they're hearing. And so a number of them have contracted with us, because our therapists can have those, because they're culturally competent. So they can work from start to finish and get the person where they need to be mentally.
Kelsey and I have a mutual friend that had gone through a lot in his life, physical health things. And just through his course of seeking help and therapy, that type thing, correct me if I'm wrong with this, but I think he told us that over the course of therapy, he was told that based upon his situation, that they've worked with individuals that would have committed suicide 5 or 6 times for what he's been through. It's just kind of crazy to think what people deal with, that if you don't get help, or if there's not those resources.
And we're seeing we're seeing those stigmas come down, especially with the younger ones coming up. So it's an incredible thing to see somebody get to a good spot, and we're proud to be part of the solution.
Absolutely. And I love that you have this big event coming up that will kind of put your name out there, so that more people are aware of the services that you offer in our community.
So again, Guns N' Hoses hockey at Baxter Arena, March 15th. Doors open at 1.
Where can they buy tickets or find tickets for that event?
At Ticketmaster. They're on
Ticketmaster,
sale.
great.
They're on sale now, and I can't recommend it enough. It's usually a beautiful day. It's on a Sunday, so maybe not a lot going on with kids' practices and things, but
I highly
it's a
recommend it as well.
yeah.
It is just one of my favorite family-friendly events. Whether you know anything about hockey, whether you know nothing about hockey, if you've got kids of any ages, my kids are kind of that tween age now where it's hard to impress them. They loved it when they were little. They had the fireman hats and the stickers, and they get to climb on a truck. I mean, it's great. It's great for adults too. It's just fun, and like you said, it's good hockey.
It is
I'll
good
go
hockey.
in your place this year since you can't make it.
Please do. Yeah, unfortunately, I will be out of
Sounds way
town,
fun.
but I highly recommend it to anybody.
Bring friends. It's just it's competitive, but at the end of the day, they all
It's a
get
good
along
time.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I want to make sure the website is
FirstRespondersFoundation.org.
okay. And like we talked about before, is support of programs like this is really crucial and helps the community, helps a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I thank you both for having me on today. This is wonderful.
Yeah,
awesome.
this is great, and it's great to get all of these programs out there. I mean, I had read a little bit about your organization and what you do and known previously, but I had no idea the reach and expanse of your programs. So I hope that this.
I should mention just real quick too that we do have chapters. We started that 5 years ago. We're in 5 states right now.
Oh, wow.
So if you know someone in another city or state, give us a call. We do all the work. We do all the back end work. We just set up a local chapter that can help the first
that's
responders in
great to
in
know.
their community.
Fantastic.
Great.
Awesome.
Todd,
Well,
thanks
thank
for what you're
so
doing.
much,
Thank you.
Todd. Yeah, it's great
Thanks
to
for
have you
joining
on.
us today, and we'll see you next time.